Good afternoon. Thank you for joining the LoreLink stream today. Um, Hopefully everybody is doing well. We just got done sponsoring HoosierCon here in Indianapolis this past weekend. We spent Friday, Saturday, and Sunday hanging out with HoosierCon and talking to folks about LoreLink and talking about role-playing games and playing some games. And so it was a really great time. Really appreciated being there. And now today we are back to my monthly scheduled stream to talk about planning session for Paizo's Adventure Path Quest for the Frozen Flame. This is a Pathfinder 2e adventure. I know that in the last stream, I promised to start this stream with a quick overview of what happened during the last gaming session, but unfortunately we had to cancel our last gaming session, so we haven't actually played a session since February, and the next one is here in a couple of weeks. I'm personally going to be at a software development conference here in a week, so I will be gone for a little while. So kind of squeezing this stream in between as best as we can. So instead of starting the way I was planning to, I think I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the next section of the adventure. So let me really quickly switch views so that you can see a little bit more of my screen. I have here LoreLink open and the campaign that we're working on, Quest for the Frozen Flame. Over here on the side, I have the adventure PDF, which is where I'm pulling the information in to get it into LoreLink. And one of the questions that kind of comes up a little bit is, hey, you've got all this information already. Why are you moving it all into LoreLink instead of just running it out of the PDF? And the answer is that I find that PDFs can be just a little bit clunky, especially during the game. So just as an example, right here you can see in the thumbnails, so I've got a monster here, right? The zombie Megalosaurus. It has a little bit of information here about how, because it's a variant Megalosaurus, they're Megalosaurus. They have some information here about how they're changing the default, but they don't have all the information here you need to run the monster. So for example, I need to now go back to the monster manual, grab that information, make the changes, and put it somewhere so that I don't have to look that stuff up on the fly. So there's already two different places that I need to look for this. Now, for fun, let's look at all the places that this may be. So now this is a completely different page. So this is a page up, that's a page down. There it is there. Okay, this one's pretty straightforward. It's only like page to page, so this isn't too bad. I can scroll up and down, but not all the information here. So now I need to go to another location. Some of the other monsters are repeated. So for example, scroll up to the very top. There was a monster here that has shown up a couple times. So we've got a Roru. So right here, hey, you've got a Roru. There's the initiative. You want more details? You're going to have to go down to page 84 to look it up. Well, that's actually in a completely different location. The best part is that I potentially have, I have Rorus showing up in multiple places. And as you can see, even on a really high-end computer, searching sometimes on a PDF sometimes takes a minute for it to actually find the place and then load the images and everything to make it look right. When you're doing that at the table while running a game, that's time, that's delay that your players are having to sit there waiting for you to give them the next section. So fortunately, in this particular instance, they actually did duplicate this part of it. Often that doesn't really happen. It just kind of depends on the adventure path in the book. But a lot of, if it's something that's fleshed out just a little bit more than that, like if Turkic, for example, appeared in multiple locations, this block is only going to show up in one place. So I'm going to have to scroll back and forth, up and down to find that. And as soon as you're 2 or 3 pages separated in the PDF, that's kind of obnoxious to have to do that. So those are just kind of some examples of why, for me, I want to do this extra planning step because I don't want to come in here and say Necromancers 2, Game Mastery Guide 230. I'm going to go look that up. I would prefer to do that work in advance so the players don't have to wait on it. And sometimes stuff happens. I do my very best to plan. The players go in a different direction. Something different comes up. You got to roll with it. It takes time, whatever. But I do at least try to plan everything in advance so that things can move as smoothly as possible. And then let's say I do have to kind of ad lib some things. That's the next place where I really want to lean on LoreLink to help me because let's say I have to toss in a new location. I'm probably just going to come in here and create that location on the fly, add the notes for it, save it, and then I can, when I'm planning between sessions, I can go ahead and update that ad-libbed information from the source material, make any changes necessary, whatever. So one of the things that can happen sometimes is, and this has happened to me on multiple occasions, where the players go in a different direction. So I skim through the encounter really quickly. Maybe I get something wrong. I want to make a note of how I ran that encounter or what happened, what kind of decisions did the players make, and more importantly, what information did I give the players so that I can make any adjustments necessary when planning the next encounter. So maybe because I was ad-libbing an encounter, I was skimming the material that I hadn't reviewed yet because they went in a different direction, and I overlooked a piece of information that I was supposed to give them. I want to be sure to capture that in my planning for the next session and find some alternate way for them to get that information or in some way bridge the gap because I don't want my mistake as a GM to cause problems for how the campaign moves forward. Does that make sense? So that's kind of what I'm looking for when I'm doing the planning. Yeah, you would never do things to me that aren't plans. Not at all. Not in the slightest. So, fun, funny story. Uh, X ran his first campaign this past weekend, and we weren't 15 minutes into it, and he's like, "Hey, wait, I didn't plan for that." Like first time, it doesn't take long. So let me now get into where I was. So I had been setting up a lot of locations. So we're up to B38. I jumped ahead just a little bit. So it looks like I'm up to B30. And then I went ahead and did the rest of the way markers all the way to the end. Let's take a peek here. Scorched Vale. Let me pull up the map right quick. And this is, again, you're already seeing why scrolling around is kind of a big thing. All right, here we go. So here is the map of the area. And I actually have this in here with some annotations. So this is more interesting. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so I have all these dots, and you can see if I wait and hover, it gives me the location number that it is, what the location information is. If I click on it, it's going to nav me to it, and etc. But this shows me the locations I haven't yet planned. What I want to focus on right now is this little section right in here, probably B31 and B32, because there's a lot of things that are going to be coming in as I work on planning that out. So let me resize this back down. Okay. And let's go take a peek at that section of the book. All right, there we go. Caravan route. Level up. Area B30 is the last hex designed for 5th level characters. In other words, we'll want to make sure that everybody gets bumped up to 6th before they get beyond this point. So that's actually something that I want to make a note of in here. The real question is, what is the best way to do that? I think I'm going to start by going into my locations. And put this in. This is not a read aloud. I want to do it. Actually, you know what we're going to do? I know where I'm going to put this. I'm going to put this in the Lost Mammoth Valley. We're going to add some, not read aloud. I want some child descriptions. Notes have played on all. There we go. And we'll make this note here. So I want this alert now everywhere. So what's going to happen now that I've made this alert, look at all the children. I can go to any one of them. I'll go to B30, for example, and we'll pull in the parent information. Let me switch to view mode. Now, in view mode, I can see the notes from the parents. Lost Mammoth Valley, level. Area B30 is the last hex designed for 5th level characters. And then I get this information, which I'd put in last time, which is about taking of captives, getting any information, etc. So now I can see this note about level expectations on any location inside of Lost Mammoth Valley. So that's going to be the way that I'm going to note that. Let's go ahead and create Area 31 real quick. Go back to edit mode, and we'll do that. And now it might be a little bit easier. Let's go ahead and switch you to the focus view. I'll keep you in LoreLink while I switch back and forth. Don't want anybody getting dizzy or anything. Flipping around a lot can be hard to watch on stream sometimes. So dump in some description. The creature info. Okay, so we have skeletal horses. So what I'm going to do, this seems to be a fairly significant encounter. So I'm going to save this as is. And I'm going to come in to create an event. And this is the caravan route encounter. I'll just give it a short description from that. Oh, no, it's got to be shorter than that. There it is, caravan route encounter. And then we're going to come in here and we're going to add now a few things. So details, we're going to trigger based on a location. And this is going to be B31. Caravan route. And I can have multiple triggers, but I only need the one for right now. And I'm going to associate some lore here in a minute. I'm going check out our creature situation. Do I have any zombie brutes? I do not. I don't have any zombie brutes, and I don't have any skeletal horses, it would appear. So let's go ahead and create those in here. Okay, so the zombie brute, I've got initiative is that. And so I want this information right here. And then I'm going to go ahead and just link to Archives of Nethys from there. I can open it in a new tab. It's not a big deal. Let's look at the short description of there, and we're going to dump that in here and save it. So now I have the zombie brute. I'm going to open a new tab, go back to our encounter. I would like to add that zombie brute there. And in my notes up here, we're going to have 2 zombie brutes. We're going to have 2 skeletal horses, 2 bone warriors, and 2 necromancers. Okay. I'm going to save that, and I'm going to continue attaching the objects in here. So I got the zombie brutes. We're going to add the skeletal horses now. And same idea. Yep. So a lot of stuff is changing with Archives of Nethys right now because they've updated to Remastered, which is the latest edition of Pathfinder. I'm going to go into Skeletal Horse. This is my link. Sorry, wrong tab. Pull in the Skeletal Horse link, and then here on the Skeletal Horse, we have the initiative. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab, I want the armor class, immunities, and hit points at a glance, because those are the things that I need for tracking in combat. The rest of the description stuff I can link to Archives of Nethys. And we'll save this. And then I can add it. Skeletal horses, there we go. Then I need to create the Bone Warriors. So the Bone Warriors, it looks like, are a unique creature that's right here. So this is like I was talking about before, where sometimes they'll present a brand new thing in one case and then use it in other places. Let's look at all the places the Bone Warriors may exist. Page 30. There. So we get Bone Warriors in other places, right? Bunches of other places. But the information about them is only here at the top. Now it's going to wrap search and takes back up here. So this is a great example of something that I want to put in Lurelink as a creature in one place so that I don't have to go scrolling around looking for it later. So the Bone Warrior is a creature 4. skills, items, AC hit points. And bold these to make it a little bit easier to look at later. I'm just hitting Control B to bold them, so I don't have to use the mouse. Makes it a little bit easier. Just makes it a little bit easier visually to look around and see things. Attack of opportunity, shield block. There we go. And then the next section. Oops, did not mean to do that. Okay, that's bad. Try again. There we go. I accidentally hit Control V instead of Control B, which, there we go. Starts if they end their movement. Cool. And sometimes copying and pasting out of a PDF causes really weird white space. It doesn't show up in the preview, so it's really not a big deal. That looks pretty good. We've got a couple different melees, a couple different ranged attacks, sudden charge. That looks good. Then we're going to come back in here and we're going to associate the Bone Warrior. And get that attached. Oops, I'm going to control click on that so that it opens up in a new tab. I'm going to go ahead and add a short description on the skeletal horse before I forget. Perfect. Back to the creature list. Last but not least, we have a necromancer. So these are the Game Mastery Guide. Create this necromancer. We have an initiative to pull in. Okay, so creature 5, necromancer. I'm going to make this the link. It is an NPC type. In this case, for us, though, it is not an NPC from our standpoint. It's not really a villain, per se. So I'm just going to track it as a nuke creature. Then we're going to grab this information here. Initiative, armor class, saves, hit points. That should be good for now. And the link to Archives of Nethys. We're going to grab. Yeah, that's too long. Abbreviate it and save. And we're going to attach that here. Necromancer and associate. There we go. So now I have all of my game objects, all of my creatures that are part of this encounter listed, and I have the number of each of them in the description, short description of what's going on at this point. I may see, and then I'm associated with the location where it's going to happen. So if I click back to the location, terrain, planes, here's what's going on, creatures, and then I will be able to see the used by this event. Now, here's why that's interesting. When I come into a session, I'm currently planning session 20. This is not going to happen in session 20, but let me go back to an earlier session. For example, Let's switch to view mode really quickly. Anything that's associated here, I will be able to check off as completed once it's been done. And so this is one of the really cool features in the session object, checking off what you've done so that you can keep track of when you come back later. It's just loop, done that. Cool. So the more I break it down, the more I can just check things off as complete or not complete. I can move the events around, that sort of thing. So there's that. That is location 31. A few other notes I want to add to that location, so I'm going to continue editing it. Now that I have the associated encounter in here. Switch back to edit mode. Oh, you know, I missed two things okay, I missed a couple things. Let's come back in here. I need to create a skeletal woolly rhinoceros. I totally missed that. Okay, let's go ahead and create it. Skeletal woolly rhinoceros. Man, I can't spell. It's fine. Okay, and this is another one where they are, it seems to be a custom creature, so we're gonna do that in here. Format it a little bit. Okay, and we'll save that. Oh, that is a creature 5, so let's now let's go back to the event and toss it into that event, the caravan route encounter. Okay. Rhinoceros says that's a word. Thank you, Google, for spell check in the browser, because yeah. And then I will associate that and save. Cool. Now that that's been fixed, back to the location here. Go ahead and add the notes that I was planning on adding, which is that we have notes about followers and treasure that can be obtained. New followers. There were 10 wounded elk in the wagon. Let's call them an elk. Succeeded in nature check. So basically the party will be able to rescue the elk and not only rescue them, but potentially add them to the following. And then treasure. Bone religious symbol of an ex. I would argue that's not treasure. Skill would one need to have to tame a skeletal woolly rhinoceros? Yeah. The fact that it's undead makes that a no-go in this campaign. It's just going to get destroyed. And yeah, the Necromancer's a bad guy, but not a capital V villain. And most importantly, there's a bunch of Necromancers, right? So for me, if you have a name, you're an NPC or a villain. But if you don't have a name, and more importantly, there's a whole bunch of your same character template, I'm going to treat you as just a creature or a mook. There's new followers and treasure, and that is this specific location. That's everything. Now we're going to go ahead and toss this on the interesting. There it is. It is correctly linked. Curious. So we're going to go ahead and go to the Lost Mammoth Valley, and we're going to toss on the pin for B31. Caravan route and save. So B32, this is going to be the big bad thing. That is really the culmination of the first part of this campaign. It's getting to that location. So let's take a peek at that together. So once they've completed the caravan route, so we come up here, we complete the caravan route, we take care of the encounter on the caravan route, we're going to head up to B32. What is there? This is a fairly substantial location that has sub-locations inside of it. So B32, the Ashen Tower. This is where there is the risk of spoilers, so I'll try to avoid spoiling anything. We know the Ashen Tower is there. We know what it's about. They've figured out a lot of that stuff as part of the campaign. It's a big necromantic facility. It's part of the Ashen Swale cult. And we know that the party is going to have to take on the Ashen Tower before they will be able to lead the following safely through this valley. So a lot of the next couple of sessions, looking at the map really quickly, again, they're going to finish clearing out this area. Going to go back up to the following, cut back down through the mountain to make sure the mountain is in good shape and maybe get a good vantage from up there. And then more than likely they're going to come right back up here and hit the caravan route. Now, if I know this party at all, they're going to hit the caravan route. They're going to find the elk, and the first thing they're going to do is lead those elk safely back out somewhere. Whether they go all the way back to the following or take them to the deserter encampment, which is much closer for safekeeping, my bet is that one of those two things will happen before they try to take on the Ashen Swale Tower. It is also possible by the time they've made it through all this that they will have made the decision to go back to the deserter encampment and try to enlist the help of the soldiers there for the final assault, or they may try to go it alone. Those are both perfectly valid. I would not want to hazard a guess as to which approach they are going to go in. Yeah, weird pets is entirely a trope for a reason. And that's fair. You know, that's fair. If you, I would imagine you'd have to have control undead, and it'd probably become more of a control undead than a proper. You wouldn't be using nature to tame it. You would be using necromancy to control it at that point in time. But yeah, I suppose. Now in this party, we don't have any characters with the right skills to do that. But game category inanimate objects only. Hilarious. Nice, nice. Yeah. Yeah, so as we look at planning, like I said, I'm not going to hazard a guess as to what the party's going to do. There's a couple different ways they could approach planning this. As we go through the next couple of sessions, I'm going to have to make really good notes about what they discuss and what they're thinking as far as that final assault so that I can prepare for it. Because, for the sake of argument, if they decide they want to go ahead and enlist the help of the soldiers from the deserter encampment, I'm going to need to make sure that I'm ready to run that encounter and have like stat blocks and everything planned out for all of those possible soldiers that could be joining. If they decide to go with just the party, it might make my life a little bit easier, but it might make their lives a lot harder as it goes. Um, so we've got the Ashen Tower. It is going to be pretty challenging, as you can see, like a severe 6 for this first encounter, then a trivial 6, then another trivial 6, and then another severe 6. So it's not by any means undoable, but it is definitely going to be at the edge of their ability, especially trying to do it all at once. 2 severes of your level in a row is pretty brutal. Okay. So let's go ahead and do this next section. So I'm going to come into locations. And inside of Lost Mammoth Valley, we're going to add B32, the Ashen Tower. I'm going to put this in the read aloud. It is hidden. That's important. Terrain plains. Okay, now we're going to come down to child descriptions because these are things that apply to the whole location. Ceiling height is 20 feet. In interior chambers and 10 feet in tunnels. Torches shed bright light throughout the Ashen Tower, so no need to bring your own lighting. That's useful information. Save. The Ashen Tower, we're going to create a location underneath that. B32A. It's just entry cave. Here, I'm going to go ahead and switch you back to focus in on Lorelink. Avoid tabbing back and forth as I'm copying. So here's a fun little note that's important. Anyone prominently displaying a religious symbol of Venexus can order the skeletal Hulk to raise or lower the lift by saying up or down and hail it. Yeah. The lift spans the 50-foot cliff separating the areas B32A and B32B. Good times. Yeah, so in order to infiltrate, you have to prominently wear just religious symbols of Venexus. So you'll note in the treasure that we got in B31 were a couple religious symbols of Venexus. So the tools are there, but will they be willing to do that? Yes, we were a sponsor of HoosierCon. It was fantastic. I'm very happy we did that, but that was last weekend. Next major event for us is going to be Origins, but that's not for a couple months from now. Looking through this, I think that's pretty good. Save that. And so now you'll notice that there's another little deal here, so I can expand the Ashen Tower a little bit. I think that attack if they notice the party. All right. So we have Bone Warriors and a Skeletal Hulk, which I need to pull in. So I'm going to go ahead and create this as an event for the encounter. Attack of the Ashen Tower Entry Cave. We have 3 Bone Warriors. One Skeletal Hulk. Go ahead and copy this description from the book about those warriors. Now we're going to go ahead and this is a severe 6. Make a note of that. We will add the trigger location. The entry cave. We're going to have Bone Warriors, so we need to associate those. And I don't think I have a Skeletal Hulk yet. Let's look through here. Let's go to the... No, I have no Skeletal Hulk, so let's create a Skeletal Hulk. Come into here. And copy that link. Copy this information. Let's get the short description. Perfect. And back here, we'll go ahead and add the Skeletal Hulk as well. Perfect. Now I can go back to B32 Cave Entrance, and you'll notice that it's associated with the encounter, the event, Attack of the Ashen Tower Entry Cave. I need to add more details here, so new followers and treasure. Longhorned bison. 4 elk, 2 moose, 2 grizzly bears, a lagopher, a hyanodon, 1 longhorned bison in the pens. 4 days to attend them till they're healthy enough to leave. Yeah. Okay. Living property rune, alchemist tools, formula book, factory obfuscators, and skin stitch salves. What is an olfactory obfuscators? Yeah, I could potentially create some of these things as items. Let me look through the book really quick and see if these are unique to this adventure. Because if it is, I'm going to go ahead and create these as items. But if they're something that I can just look up in Archives of Nethys, for example, equipment, alchemical items, mud bomb, quick melt slick, spore bomb, nope, water bomb, clay, nope. None of these items are unique, so I'm not going to bother creating them as items here. What I can do though, because these are kind of interesting, is link them. Make my life easier, right? Because I could, sure, I could search it then, but I can search it now, and then I don't have to search it then. Get rid of that note because it won't matter. Red ampules, moderate. Oh, the formula is for lesser and moderate dread ampules. That's fine. Cool. Save that. I think that's it for the entry cave. One of the things, as I read through this description here, this gets a little interesting. Let me go back up to the parent. So save this. Let's go to the parent location, the Ashen Tower. I'm going to read through this really quickly. Atop and within this small cliff hides a necromantic facility built by Ashen Swale. All that. Okay, the Ashen Tower is a tall rocky cliff with a cave at the base and a yurt on top. Most of the tower's chambers are inside the cliff and accessible through the cave. Alternatively, a character can scale the 100-foot cliff. Which requires a DC 20 athletics check to climb, or take the long way around and approach from the distant rocky slope, which takes 3 hours but requires only one successful DC 15 athletics check to climb. On failure, the character makes approximately 3 hours to take the check. Okay, regardless of the route, the yurt on the cliff top is surrounded by a defensive ring of sharpened sticks. See area B32C. Okay. All right, let's finish adding the other locations, but I want to make sure I have a clear understanding of how the players will be able to approach it. They are going to scout it and they're going to ask me these questions, so I want to make sure that I can answer them. So B32B is the next. Middle Caverns. This is A. Here we go. Shelves, metal box, cliff to the west. Enter studying here. Inanimate severed head of a Sataki woman. A character succeeded lost head of a Dalahan. Oh, good times. Do not return to owner. Huh. Okay. West of the tunnel, north to 32A and 32C. Okay. Oh my, there's a lot going on here, so. A wounded prisoner. Also languages in the bone cage. This is Nekuyak. Ah, Nekuyak, yes. We've got a hazard. And we have treasure. Okay, so these are going to need some explanation. So let's go ahead and save this. Let's go to the middle caverns, and we're going to have to expand some of this. So some of these treasure items here are unique. So I'm going to go into the book. We're going to create these as items. So let's look at the first one, a scroll of bone spray. Bone spray. That is a custom. Yeah, really, really evil. Bone spray, spell 2, traditions, cast, area, saving throw, basic reflex, and heightened. Okay. Gross. And the short description is you fire a jagged torrent of jagged bone shards from your hands. I really don't think my players are going to want to use this, but that is a scroll of bone spray. Now I can come back here and we can go ahead and attach it. Okay. Now let's go to, what was the next item in the list? Scroll of bone shaker. Good times. And description. Okay, let's make the, pull in all the instructions on this spell now. This is Bone Shaker, spell 2. There is no universe in which they're going to use this. Although you never know when they're going to decide to turn an evil spell back on the people who created it. Success, failure. All I'm saying is 4/1 is not the best date in April. Not at all. It's amazing how many people I know that were born on this day, though. Bone Shaker. Scroll of Bone Shaker. Let's add the Scroll of Bone Shaker to, this is B32. Just for fun, let's do it in the opposite direction. Can I do that? Nope. So let's add the, here, Scroll of Bone Shaker. And the next one is Blood Vendetta. That's Advanced Player's Guide, though. So what we're going to do is Blood Vendetta. Enervation. Go ahead and do the same thing, Scroll of Enervation, because I don't know that off the top of my head. And Expanded Healer's Tools. Ironically, that is the greatest irony ever. We'll add a trigger warning. I can't, do it like that. Just because that's pretty wicked. Okay. It's fine right up until you read the descriptions on some of these things. Then it's like, ooh, that's creepy. Maybe not. Thanks. April 25th. I'm sure. 425, huh, Tony? Is that it? Is that the one? All right. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I think we've got the items here now. There's a bunch of other things going on in this room, so I'm going to go ahead and create the events for it. So I've got a trap that we need to mark. Event. Stealth. Description. Disable. It has soul drain. It has a trigger. there's the trigger for it. I'm gonna save that. Come back into the location. B32B. Used by. I'm doing it backwards. Soul. There we go. I have to add a trigger. Associated trigger is B32. B. All right, there we go. So now we're attached to that location. So now, actually I didn't need to reload. It just happens automatically. I love that. You may notice that as you're working with LoreLink, when you connect things, it shows up even if you automatically, even when you have multiple tabs open, which is pretty useful. So you don't have to worry about getting out of sync. Cool. So we've got a soul draining cage. Creature touches the cage bars. Blah blah blah. Okay, that's the first thing, and then the second thing I want to add is the encounter with the crawling hand swarm, which just gross. It's a one-off. I'm going to just create it as an event again. So it's an encounter. Crawling hand swarm. I figure this is actually, this is a combination. I feel like this is more of a trap than a creature. It's more of a hazard, but what do I know? It is technically a creature, but it can't speak any language, but it understands some, so that's fun. Just exactly what I wanted is a swarm of crawling hands understanding language. Weaknesses. Resistances, immunities. Stifle. Effect. Okay. That, oh, I have more info here that has to come in. Speed. Got a pummeling grasp. Okay. Good deal. Save that. That's the crawling hand swarm. We're going to go in here and add that to B32B. Okay, so now you notice without reloading or anything, it just shows up there automatically, which is pretty cool. Now I need to, this is all related to an NPC. So we're going to create an NPC. Nukiak. So we've been introduced to Tadanu and Dini previously, and we're asked to try to find Nukuyak. So that's why this is relevant. I'm going to give a little bit of a description. That's what's happened to Nakuyak. That's what's happened to her. So now let's go ahead and look up, use the stats for a chaotic good bounty hunter, okay? And then we'll say CG medium human humanoid. We will copy these things and then link to the rest. Okay, and save that. Now Nakuyak is going to also be attached to this location. So let's go put her in that location. Okay, so she's in there. There's no necromancers actively in here, it looks like. This is just their primary location. I want to scroll up and highlight something. Oops. Okay, bold that, and let's look at the area A25. Associated locations. I don't know that I have A25 in here, actually. I don't have A25 in here yet, so let's come back out to look at the locations really quickly. In the Lost Man of the Valley, we had the Calamity Caves. Yeah, I don't have A25. Okay, it's fine. I don't need it. I was just going to add a link to it if possible. And again, that's just because I haven't gone all the way back to the very beginning of everything to add all that stuff. Meet the dull hand areas before B32A and B32C. So I'll go ahead and add 32A. As an associated location. And we'll add B32C in just a second. So let's go back up to the parent location, and we'll add a new child location, B32C. B32C is the pinnacle. A hole in the ground of this clifftop landing slopes down to area B32B. Good times. It's doing that thing where it won't let me copy and paste, so bear with me for a moment. This will take a second. Sometimes PDFs are really annoying for that, so. Triple clicking on the line of text, though, just highlights the whole line, so that makes it not too terrible to copy and paste one line at a time. It's not like I have to click and drag, but it's still slow, as you can see. And this is why you need to remind your players to appreciate their GMs. It's a ridiculous amount of work that goes into things in ways that just doesn't even make sense sometimes. All right, down to area B, 32B. So I would like to look for a location, B32B. There we go. And let's save this and then continue editing, B32C. Pinnacle. We're gonna have 4 zombie brutes. And if they're particularly loud, one necromancer from the, okay, so we're going to create the event. I can type honest. Ugh. Let's go back here. There we go. Highlight that if the party is particularly loud. Save that. That is a trivial 6. And we're going to mark this with these associated game objects. We have the zombie brutes. And we have, I'm going to go ahead and attach the necromancer, even though the necromancer may not be here. That way they're connected and I can choose whether or not to have them here or not. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do one other thing. So this is potentially going to pull the necromancer from the yurt. So what we're going to do is go ahead and create the attack on the yurt. To put a description in. Beautiful. That is a severe 6. Save that. Attack on the yurt. We're going to go ahead and edit this. So we've got the attack on the yurt here. So I'm going to save this right quick, and then I'm going to associate a couple things. So I want to associate B32C. So this is the attack on the pinnacle. So the attack on the pinnacle, I thought I'd put this in already, but it is a trivial 6. And then what we're going to do is we're going to also attach it to the other event, which is the attack on the yurt. I can't, that's not a game object though, it is a trigger. There it is. I'm going to attach it to attack on the yurt because if I pull a necromancer in here, it's going to subtract the necromancer from the attack on the yurt. So we're going to make a note of that here. So I need them connected. So we're going to say 2 necromance. Attack on the pinnacle. And then we have Turkic after the first round. We're going to save this now. All right, let's continue. Let's finish what we're doing here. I just wanted to create that so I can make that connection right away. We have the attack on the pinnacle, and I have the pinnacle location. I need to... I've attached the location, so I should have a trigger. There, used by attack on the pinnacle. Perfect. So B32C pinnacle, this 4 zombie brutes, it's pretty straightforward. It involves the attack on the pinnacle. Nothing else going on in here. So let's go back up to the parent location and add the final child, which is B32D, the yurt. And I need the description. And once again, this section, oops, doesn't want to be copied out of the PDF very easily, so. Take a necromancer, leave a necromancer. Yeah, that's horrifying, but yes, that's exactly how it works. Okay. Save that location. We've got the yurt. Let's go in there. Now that I've got the yurt, I've got the attack on the yurt location that will get attached to that location as a trigger. Okay. So now those are associated with each other, and now I need to go ahead and create a villain. Turkic. Yeah, the formatting is just a pain sometimes. It's like, ugh. I hope we're able to find a way to solve that problem one of these days, but until then. Nope. Short description. I suspect that the formatting problems have to do with the fact that these are PDFs built for print that they've kind of repurposed to also work for online, and it's a different use case. Like, I'm gonna go ahead and save this and go in. All right, just a little bit easier. Because if you had a PDF that you specifically wanted for like screen use, in my opinion, you'd make it a lot lighter weight. Like lower quality graphics and stuff. You would reduce some of the layering probably. Because the same things that make the PDF look really good on print kind of don't make it amazingly accessible. Like for example, let me just share my screen really quickly, switch back to this view so you can see the PDF. If I right click on this and save image as, it's going to maybe save this image, or it's going to maybe save the page frame because of the way they have the PDF layered, which is truly a joy. I have to copy all this stuff down because, quite frankly, this is one of the things that's I think probably the most pain in the butt copying things for the purpose of putting them into LoreLink, but it's also often the most useful because it makes it easier for me to pop it open in a new tab and reference it side by side rather than bouncing around all over the place. And just the way it's formatted on the page, the only way it really works is if you print it out. And even then, sometimes this particular one works, but in some cases, the stats for an NPC or a villain or whatever might actually break across page lines, in which case you can't even reference a single page. That's not ideal. So I prefer to have it all in one place where I can just look it up easily, even though it's a little bit of a pain to do it. And I know this doesn't make for the most exciting viewing, but my goal here is less entertainment and more showing you, the good, the bad, and the ugly behind what's involved in actually planning a session. What are some of the things that I do to make my life easier later? Like, for example, I'm running a little short on time for today, but probably before we get to where I'm ready to run this encounter, I'm going to shortcut all of these different spells. I'm going to look them up and remind myself what they do, right? Because one of the things about being a GM at this point in time, I've played a lot of different characters in Pathfinder. I've been playing Pathfinder for a while. I've run a couple different campaigns, although this is really my first long campaign in Pathfinder 2nd Ed to be a GM, but I have not played every single character class. Now, I do like to sample different character classes when I'm playing in different campaigns, just in part so that I get a feel for what it's like playing that character, so I can do a better job as a GM of helping players who are playing that class or that character type in the future, and so that I can understand better how to play NPCs with some of those abilities. But there's a lot of abilities and a lot of spells that I'm not familiar with. So I have to try to look those things up in advance so I know how things work in advance. I don't always get all the way through that. Honestly, it's one of the things I've enjoyed about doing this stream once a month is that even though I don't always get as much of the planning done as I would like, it's helped me set aside an hour and a half of like real-time planning, and I do a little bit of planning outside of the stream as well, but it's a great opportunity to make sure that some of these work that would otherwise maybe be hard for me to work up the motivation to do actually gets done. So that's a good benefit. All right. Just doing some highlighting to make my life easier reading it later. Clot, trigger, melee, 1. Okay. Speed. Cool. So that is Turkic. Is there any additional information about Turkic here? No. Okay, so we're going to save. Turkic and then attach Turkic here to the event, attack on the yurt. So 2 necromancers. And Turkic. Okay, so that now has this attached to the event, the attack on the yurt, with a note that we'll have 2 necromancers unless one gets pulled into the attack on the pinnacle. Attack on the pinnacle. Actually, hold on. Let me reload this really quickly. Make sure that it's. No, okay, it didn't. So attack on the pinnacle. So that they're linked both directions. Okay, attack on the pinnacle. Attack on the yurt. Cool. So these are connected to each other. Going back to the yurt. The yurt is used by attack on the yurt. Perfect. We have notes there. Now I need to add some additional information. Reputation, that's right. I'm supposed to be tracking reputation. That's an interesting question. Have I been tracking reputation correctly? Reputation. Huh, okay. I have not been tracking reputation, so I'm going to make a note for me to go back through. So next stream, I'm going to do a couple of things. We will make a note for myself. Next stream, we're going to recap the actual play session, so you know kind of what happens and where the players are. And then I'm going to go through and calculate reputation, because apparently I haven't been tracking that correctly. So make a note on that. So I still have a Google Doc with my session notes that I had started before I was able to start using LoreLink for this campaign. I'm slowly kind of working on moving everything over to all my session notes over to the session objects in LoreLink, because I want to have things only in one place. So I'll have to go through and do that. Update Turkic, link spells, plan, strategy, etc. So those would be some things that I'll do as well in the next stream. So I'm just making notes because as we wrap this up, I want to make sure I have a clear understanding of what I'm going to do next and that you have a good understanding of what to expect next. So let's go ahead and log the treasure. Candle of Revealing. Cool. Candle of Revealing. systems. I don't know. All right. Let's see. Candle of Revealing. Let's look it up here. It's nicer to have this linked. A skin stitch salve. And we'll link that as well. Okay. And that is everything. Doesn't seem too bad, although we do get a couple tough ones in there. So, okay, that's cool. So just to recap really quickly, let's go back up to Ashen Tower. The Ashen Tower itself has information. We have ceilings and lighting information. We see all this going into the children. Go to the entry cave. The entry cave links to B32B. So it should be associated with B32B and is used by an event. All right, now going to B32B, Middle Caverns. B32A and then to B32C. So I'm going to make sure that we're associated also with B32C. There we go. Because we want to be able to navigate quickly between them since you go from place to place. That is how they are connected. We have Nikuyak in here. Yes, we have the items that are unique in here. We have the hazard and the crawling hand in here as events. Perfect. Now we can go to the pinnacle. And the pinnacle, hole in the ground, landing is surrounded by a wall of sharp spikes. 4 zombie brutes patrol the cliff top and track on sight. They're loud than the yurt. They get from here to the yurt, so we're going to go ahead and associate the yurt. B32D, the yurt, because that'll be the next location from here. We have the attack on the pinnacle in here, and then we link to the middle caverns and the yurt. Okay. Think we're good there. All the different events are tied to the creatures, so we're in good shape there. This location, just double checking the PDF, I don't think it has any treasure or anything like that. Nope, it's just this one event, and then you get into the yurt. Okay, cool. Now, when I go into the yurt location, that is, it's got the new lieutenant information, reputation information, treasure information, and it's associated with the attack on the yurt counter, which itself is associated with the necromancers and Turkic, who is in fact got all the stuff in here. Cool. I think we're in good shape. That I knew that was going to take a long time. I've been kind of holding off on that. So if I come back into our locations and explain this really quickly, Lost Mammoth Valley and then the Ashen Tower information. So what I'm going to do is in the map, let's go ahead and drop the tower in here. B32, the Ashen Tower, and save. Cool. So we're in good shape. Well, this is going to last at least the next 2 to 3 sessions would be my guess in terms of the amount of planning that we've done, but I'm going to continue working on planning in different streams. And, you know, if I get to the point that I'm so caught up, I don't want to do more forward planning, I'm just going to do some, I guess, reverse planning. What I'll do is do some, pull in some of the information, specifically my session notes from all the sessions we've run through. If we look at the sessions right now, I want to show all my archived. I have some of the early sessions in here and then some of the later sessions in here. What I'll do is continue filling in some of the back sessions so that all of my session notes end up in LoreLink. So that's where I want to get to, so that everything's all in one place. It can be a little bit challenging sometimes when you have notes and things for for a campaign in progress and you want to get pulled into a new thing like LoreLink. But the way I'm doing it is from where are we right now, moving forward, pull that stuff into LoreLink, and then as I have time, I'll pull in some of the back stuff if I need to. So that's kind of how I've been approaching it. As always, please do check out LoreLink. Take a look at it for your own campaigns. Let us know what you think, if things work well, or if you have questions for it. When all else fails, ask you. Yes, exactly. So if you get into putting in a campaign, you have questions, please let us know. We're happy to help you get your campaign up and running inside of LoreLink. But thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you for following along. Have yourself a great week. Do be sure to come back tomorrow on stream. Mark will be here with a friend of LoreLink doing an interview talking about their new RPG system. So that'll be super exciting. So join us tomorrow. Thank you for being here tonight and have a good evening.